Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel, All Things Taylor, just in time for an Impact Wrestling pre-show highlight, courtesy of Access TV. I am your host, Taylor Hendrix, and this is Impact Tonight. All right, everybody, tonight we are going to have the Impact Wrestling Knockouts on full display on tonight's episode. Scheduled for competition are 2 key singles matches pitting 4 knockouts. It stands to reason that tonight's referees on this episode are definitely going to have their hands full, and we'll give you the lowdown on what you can expect. First up on the schedule is none other than the hot mess herself, Chelsea Green, taking on the Boricua badass, Tasha Steelz. Tasha Steelz has had a banner of a career ever since signing with Impact Wrestling. Recently, she was the #1 contender to the Knockouts World title, currently held by the 4-time Knockouts champion, Mickie James. Now, some words were had, some actions were made, and in the end, Tasha Steelz came out on the losing effort against Mickie James with an assist from Chelsea Green. Hence why this match, there is definitely going to be no love lost between these 2 rising star knockouts. We are going to see Team Lance Storm versus Team Adams on full display, clashing, and it's actually, I think personally, going to be one of the best matches on the card. Both of these women are so hardworking. They're both intertwined in this storyline, and they both have quite a bit to lose. Tasha Steelz being fresh off of a historical win as the first ever winner of the first ever official Impact Wrestling Ultimate X for the Knockouts. That is a huge deal. You know, as the new motto goes for Impact Wrestling, they are proving each and every week that they are indeed hard to kill. And the Knockouts have been no exception. You have Jordynne Grace, who had competed in the X division, which hasn't happened since, I believe, the beginning stages of Impact Wrestling back in their TNA days, when I believe Trinity competed in the X division. So that is huge. Plus, you have the first ever Knockouts Iron Woman match starring Jordynne Grace and Deonna Purrazzo. Then, fast forward, you also have Deonna Purrazzo being the Impact Wrestling Wrestler of the Year for 2020. And if that wasn't enough, you also had a Knockouts Texas Death Match in the main event, as Hardcore Country herself, the 4-time Knockouts champion Mickie James, put her title on the line against the former 2-time Knockouts champion, the virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo. And now, fast forward, we have the first ever Knockouts Ultimate X match, and the winner, Tasha Steelz. We also have the reinvigorated and reignited Knockouts tag team titles currently held by the Inspiration, Jessie McKay and Cassie Lee. So there is a lot going on for the Knockouts, and that is all coming to a head tonight on tonight's episode. So as Chelsea Green is set to take on Tasha Steelz, it stands to reason that this referee will in fact have their hands full, because you're kind of going to anticipate some outside involvement in the form of the cannibal Savannah Evans, and potentially Mickie James returning the favor to Chelsea Green, as you know, there's this budding loyalty. But how far will that loyalty go if Chelsea Green manages to get the win over Tasha Steelz and potentially becomes the new #1 contender? Will that respect last long enough for there to be a code of honor and a fun competitive match for the Knockouts World title, or will things turn ugly? And speaking of ugly, that leads me into the second Knockouts match scheduled for tonight's episode, when you have one half of the Inspiration taking on one half of the Influence. Now, it stands to reason that it's a relatively good question to ask. How much will these Knockouts be sacrificing just ahead of, pun intended, the next Impact Wrestling Impact Plus App special sacrifice coming up on March 5th, just a few days away? Could be a little dicey. You know, if you go to the well one too many times, as they say, it may not work out so well. You could be risking injury. You could be risking your opponent getting, you know, some rent-free headspace in there, getting a leg up on the competition. There's a lot that goes into this, especially on live TV. Very, very interesting. So Cassie Lee, and I have reason to be saying this could perhaps be the toughest, stiffest competition that Cassie Lee has faced since the Inspiration signed and debuted with Impact Wrestling. And the reason why I say that is because one half of the Influence is none other than the Killer Queen, Madison Rayne. Madison Rayne alone has been in the Knockouts division for a very, very long time. She is a 5-time former Impact Wrestling Knockouts champion, and she is a former 2-time Knockouts tag team champion, holding that belt with Gail Kim and I believe Velvet Sky of the Beautiful People. So she is no stranger to Impact Wrestling Championship Gold, and also the competition and the weight a champion carries with a giant target on their back. Now, Neither tag team is known for mincing words. There is already a lot of tension building up between these two, as the Knockouts tag team titles will be on the line at Sacrifice, as the Inspiration puts them on the line against the Influence. Now, I think it's a pretty good call and a judgment call to say, and I think this is accurate, that the best friends that they are of the Inspiration, I think Jessie McKay is not going to sit back and allow her best friend to lose to the Influence's Madison Rayne. But the same thing on the flip side could potentially also be said about the Influence's bond, even though there has been a little bit of a rift, considering that Tennille Dashwood recently made a comeback after a small hiatus, and it ended up in a losing effort to former tag team champion Jessica Havoc. And also, as you guys know, in tow of the Influence is also Caleb Conley. So this referee for tonight will also have their hands full in the most extreme of ways. Who comes out on top? Tough to say. I'm going to say that the Influence is not going to get the win tonight, but if they do, that could be a huge leg up on the Inspiration heading into Sacrifice this coming weekend. That is everything that you can expect from tonight's episode. Definitely tune in to Impact Wrestling tonight on AXS TV. Do not miss it. And also do not miss as Impact Wrestling heads to the next Impact Plus app special, Sacrifice. Multiple championship titles will be on the line. Former champions looking to reclaim glory. Current champions looking to maintain their tenuous hold on their championship titles heading into the next pay-per-view for Impact Wrestling. Don't miss it. Stay tuned. Thank you guys so much for joining me on Impact tonight, and I'll see you next week.